All right, good evening, YouTube. This is JS Miner 87 on the DFS Quarry channel, coming at you live here with special guest there, Yinzer on hockey. Joe's been out, like I said, been busy. I got busy there this weekend, but hey, good Yinzer on hockey there, having a little bit of free time to join us as we break down tomorrow, March 12th main slate there. Got 8 games on the docket, so before we dive into those, and Justin, how you been?
Doing all right, man. How about yourself?
Oh, not too bad. Working away myself. Like I said, got a $45 win and a 5-man $10 tourney there Friday night, and hoping to follow it up there. Tonight was the first night I really got to look into some slates for tomorrow. So today I was kind of just building it quick just to keep on getting my reward credentials there for my crowns and whatnot on DraftKings. But I'm going to go into the screen share, and we're going to break down this slate. First game on the slate. Well, let me pop up the screen share first. Yeah, I'll make sure she's working, and we'll be blast off here. All right, looks like we're good. First game up on the slate, we got the Dallas Stars traveling to Buffalo to take on the Buffalo Sabres. At least from what app I'm looking at, usually it's a little tougher this early, but I got a Dallas as a 124 road favorite with an over and under of 5.5 here. Let me open up starting goalies for tomorrow. I'm projecting it's probably going to be Ben Bishop against, we think Carter Hutton. Probably Carter Hutton here projected. Yeah, Ben Bishop's confirmed, and we got Carter Hutton here. Let me just get some stats here for you guys, just to get us into what we're looking at here. And I already got it filtered down here for totals, guys. Buffalo Sabres giving up 383 shots against in the past 10 games. Dallas Stars giving up 376. Goals for have been about even, but you see here Buffalo giving up a lot more goals against. So goaltending, the win there goes to definitely Ben Bishop here. Carter Hutton and Linus Ullmark both have had a little bit of struggles recently, and certainly Buffalo is not the same team we've seen when it comes to after that big win streak they had here. Scoring chances are about even there. Certainly, like I said, there's your little bit of different scoring chance. Goals against Buffalo or Dallas only giving up 16 here. Switching over to power play, Dallas power play has scored 4 times on 32 shots in the past 10 games. So not too much there, and actually coming into low end with 40 minutes of power play time on the past 10. Switching the power play for Buffalo, 52 minutes. They got 7 goals for on 46 shots. And then going over to penalty kills here, Buffalo only giving up 3 power play goals against on 40 shots. Dallas giving up 5 power play goals on 47 shots here. A little bit of breakdown here. Just quickly, we can go into the home team. Buffalo, 19, 10, and 4 on home ice. Penalty kill's really good there. That's the highlight. You look on the road here. Dallas is 14, 17, and 3. And we do know they had certainly a lot of struggles here recently, at the beginning of the year, being on the road. I don't see that being an issue tomorrow. Looking at these lines, Justin, I have to tell you, I'm really leaning towards the Sagan Radulov. I don't even mind adding in a Rupi Hintz here. I'm not sure I want to add Ben here on line 2, just because the correlation seems to be he's going to be on the power play with this top line at most. Also, remember, we're without Jack Eichel, so we'll look at that a little bit later here as I go to their side. But Ben on the power play that might not be successful, I'm not sure I want to target that. Third line here, I don't think we're going to have to go there on an 8-game slate. Janmark has some highlights here at 2,900, but I just don't see it there tomorrow. It's certainly at 6K. I don't mind taking a look here at Klingberg here. We're going to get a lot of shots for sure. So even if Klingberg gets you 2 blocks and 3 shots at 2.5 with no points, I still think it's worth it there. And like I said, he's going to get some power play time here. Like, I don't think their power play is going to hit. I think it's really going to come to that front line. And Ben Bishop, look at this. 2 shutouts in this past 3 starts with a .33. You'd be an idiot not to like Ben Bishop in both cash games and a GPP play. Going over to the Buffalo side, Skinner here. I'm just not. I liked Middlestat with Sherry a little bit more. But Middlestat obviously jumping up since it's not Eichel, since he's suspended. To be honest, I think the line still might be Connor Sherry and Rodriguez on that second line for the Buffalo side of things. Reinhardt's still down here on the third line. I just don't think we're going that way. Defensively here, yeah, just a little bit out of my price range to really validate spending on the defense here for Buffalo. And you know what? Hutton hasn't been super solid. I don't know where the scoring is going to come from here to validate, if he gets the win, whether it's going to be Skinner and maybe Sherry taking the game on themselves, or somehow Middlestat meshes well here. But I do think that Hutton will see a lot of shots. So if you're game scripting a Buffalo win, I think Hutton has to be considered for you. Justin, what do you got?
For me in this game, especially the way last week went for Dallas, there are 4 points behind St. Louis for the 3rd spot in the Central Division right now. So coming up on some must-win games for them if they want to elevate themselves in the standings. Radulov has been outstanding for about the past week and a half. I know he had a hat trick the other night and then another goal to follow that up in the game after. Ben has been phenomenal since he's come back from injury. Maybe he's a guy to consider, especially on the power play. Buffalo is a team that's been known to take penalties at different points throughout the season. So I really like Ben there. I wouldn't mind going even further down the Dallas defensive lineup and looking at like maybe a Heiskanen for a value play. But I do like I like Klingberg with that top power play unit because he shoots a lot from the point. He's one of the highest shooting defensemen in the league. So I like him from that perspective. For Buffalo, without Jack Eichel, you're going to need some guys to step up for them. Maybe it's Connor Sherry. Maybe Rodriguez gets in there. He likes to work down in those low grindy areas. So maybe he gets some looks there. I haven't liked Carter Hutton recently. Actually, like pretty much since the middle of December, he's been trending downward. So we'll see where he goes from there. I do like Ben Bishop a lot. He had 2 shutouts last week. I think he was the 2nd star of the week for the NHL. So I like Ben Bishop a lot. And with the way this slate is shaping out, he might be your chalk goaltender. I don't see a more of a lock goaltender than him right now, depending on how the rest of the slate plays out. Maybe a Riddick or whoever plays for Calgary might be a good pickup, but I really like Ben Bishop a lot in this game.
Yeah, I certainly agree there. And yeah, I remember that game precisely. I needed an over in that game on my parlay, and Ben Bishop just ruined my chances. Stellar in the net. But let's move on here. Next game, we got Washington Capitals traveling to Pittsburgh here. Pittsburgh, a 127 favorite with an over-under 6.5. Did I write that game right, Justin? They home team?
Yes, the Penguins are at home.
I should look for tickets for that. But let's get into this here. Game certainly with a lot on the line for both these teams, actually, as the Metro remains a game or two difference when in the points here. But let's go here. Let's look at totals here, shall we? Total-wise, past 10 games, Pittsburgh giving up 329 shots in 10 games. We got Washington giving up 296 in 10 games, taking 311 shots. Pittsburgh taking 327 shots. Scoring chances against Pittsburgh, limiting the scoring chances. So perhaps Branson might have been a good addition there. I know a lot of the Pittsburgh fans that watch the games from mid-season on seem to think it was a terrible trade, but change of scenery can do a lot, and I like to give a new person the benefit of the doubt personally before coming on. I mean, you've seen it with I think it was Justin Schultz at the time was going to be a terrible play and was doing terrible and came across and is now one of our top defensemen. Washington, 37 goals in the past 10 and giving up 23 goals in the past 10 here. So going to the power play here, Pittsburgh, 7 power play goals on 30 shots. Wish they'd shoot more, but that is a good, at least, shooting percentage side of things, but I don't know if that's what you want to see in Washington. Washington, 8 power play goals on 39 chances. I think power play is going to be a key number here. Both teams tend to get theirs. 53 minutes of penalty kill time for the Penguins, 55, almost 56 minutes of penalty kill time for Washington. Washington only allowing 3 power play goals, and Pittsburgh allowing 8 power play goals on 58 shots. So certainly the penalty kill has not been where we want it for the Penguins, and Washington has fared pretty well. Home-wise, Pittsburgh 20-12-2 with 3.4, so a little bit better on the road. This penalty kill is certainly suffering, obviously, as Penguins dealt with a lot of injuries over the course of the year. But let's go into the line, shall we, here. First line here, I guess it's Ovechkin, Kuznetsov, and Wilson. I was scripting this a little bit wrong here. I like Ovechkin against the Kuznetsov line against the Penguins, even Tom Wilson included in there. You would think they're probably going to try to I would think that the Backstrom-Oshie line, I don't know. Sidney probably is going to head to this line, and they're going to pair them even if I had to guess. But Backstrom and Sid always seem to be a battle as well as Oshie. But since the Penguins got the latest line change, I think they're probably going to want to avoid that. Backstrom-Oshie had a little bit of success recently. But for me, I like the first line of Washington. And this third line has had success recently, but I don't think it's going to match well enough for the Pittsburgh's third line, to be honest. Eller at 4,300 getting those 20 shots is nice. 4,300 for that depth play. I don't mind him as a one-off, just for the shots and perhaps a point here and there, but I don't know if I'm going to pair him. Carl Hagelin coming back to the Penguins here. I don't know if there's animosity there. I just think it just didn't fit anymore. I don't think Hagelin has any bad feelings, but certainly he might want to come back and throw some shots on net and try to get a goal back in Pittsburgh. Defensively here, Carlson. I'd probably go with Kempney here with the 3 assists at 4,300. But like I said, that power play, Penguins power play or penalty kill being bad, I think Carlson's the better play if you do go defensively here. Oshie, Backstrom on that first line here. A lot of cost here. I don't foresee this game being high scoring, and you got to give Murray the benefit of the doubt playing really great hockey. So, if I'm here, I'm looking at a pair and probably staying there. Whether you want to do Ovechkin and Backstrom on that power play or an Ovechkin-Carlson on the power play and leave it at that, I wouldn't mind here. But like I said, Murray's played better, and I think you have to consider that because when Murray plays well, he plays well for a good period of time. Holtby, I think he's in play here. I think he is in play. If it is him, let's go right here quick. I'm sure it's probably Holtby confirmed. Holtby's projected 8 months ago against Murray, so we're going to have to check back tomorrow. But should be a good game there. Penguins side of things here, Jared McCann, 4,600. His production with Crosby and Gensel has certainly been noted here of the NHL. I think that's the play to go. Malkin and Kessel still trying to get on that path, the right path. I'm not sure it's going to come being paired up against the Backstrom-Oshie, so I would stick with this line 1, fade this line 2. Aston Reese, injured last game, not sure if he's going to play. They did make a call-up of Blandisi, so I don't think Blandisi would probably play up here. Last game, they had Teddy Bluger coming up with Malkin and Kessel, and to be honest, if you need a cheap GPP play and Teddy Bluger is going to be up there, I say you take a chance on him for that one-off play. This third line, I do like the Bukestad Hornquist line a little bit better going up against Eller and Connolly of that third line. Going here, defensively, I'm going to fade the Penguins defense in its entirety. And like I said, Murray, he should face a lot of shots. He's been great. 7,500 price tag tomorrow. I think he's in line. I think he's in line for a play. Take it over, Justin.
Okay, so this game is always so difficult to project. I mean, we've seen these games go 2-1 this year, and I think the first game of the season was like 7-6 in overtime. So it's just this is a high risk, high reward play if you're going to take anything from this game. I think the matchup that you'll likely see is the Malkin Kessel, and I'm going to go out on a limb and think it's going to be Dominic Simone that would move up there. If it's not Zach Aston Reese, if Zach Aston Reese isn't healthy, I think it'll be Dominic Simone come up there and play on that wing, just because he's so aggressive on the forecheck, and Bluger doesn't offer that as much as Dominic Simone does. But I think that line is going to line up against Kuznetsov, Ovechkin, and Wilson. That's the matchup that Mike Sullivan has always tried to get lined up in the past, just because that line isn't as defensive. So if Pittsburgh is able to get in with Malkin and Kessel, they can establish themselves in the offensive zone and get some shots on goal. And that's one thing that Phil Kessel has been doing a lot of lately, is getting shots on net. So he did get a goal the other night in Columbus, so maybe that helps him get going forward. The Crosby line will probably line up against the Backstrom line. That's a lineup that both Washington really likes, and that's a lineup that that Mike Sullivan and the Penguins will like to line up too. So the big plays for me, I like Jared McCann. He is a super good value play. He's got 8 or 9 points in his last 8 games, 4 goals, 4 assists. So he's been phenomenal, plays really well, and really accentuates the way that Sidney Crosby and Jake Gensel play together. So he's been a big boost on that line. I do like your call on Tom Wilson. He's actually been kind of quietly having a very good season. I think he's approaching 20 goals. If I'm not mistaken, I think he's at like 18 or 19 goals. So there's a possibility for him to get to 20 goals. Carlson on the power play. He's another defenseman that likes to shoot a lot from the point. But the power play tends to be focused around Ovechkin. So maybe you get an assist for Carlson on the power play, but Ovechkin's the primary trigger man there. So I like that a lot. But I've also Kempny has been a really good addition for Washington for about the past year and a half now since they picked him up. So I like him a lot too. He's a guy, plays in the tough areas. He blocks a lot of shots, and he can create offense. He likes to pinch down a little bit too. So I like Kempny there. Goaltenders, I'm not leaning towards either one of these goaltenders in any of the lineups I would anticipate putting in. I don't think that you can confidently game script this game well enough to know whether or not you should be playing either one of these goaltenders. And I think there's a few better goaltending plays to make at different games on the slate. And Pittsburgh's power play, I don't know if you want to stack around Pittsburgh's power play for 2 reasons. One, it's not very good. At least like the past 10 games, they've not been very consistent on the power play. And 2, they've been doing a lot of shuffling and mixing up their power play units. So what you see on daily faceoff or left wing lock, it might not be the power play lineup that they're actually going to put out on the ice. As a matter of fact, the only power play goal they had against Boston the other night in, I think it was 6 power play opportunities, was Jake Gensel on the top power play unit, which he usually plays in the second unit pairing. So I don't know if you want to look at any of Pittsburgh's power play. So that's where I'm kind of at with this game here. It's just it's a tough game to game script, and I don't know. Like I said, I really don't trust the goaltending matchup in this one.
Yeah, you're certainly right. And I'll tell you what, they have the Pierre Maguire's on Mondays with the Penguins or with the fan radio, and he was interviewing Jared McCann, and he said, "What do you think's made you so successful here since you've been over there?" And he goes, "A coach that has confidence in me," and certainly good to see, and certainly nice to see Sullivan with confidence, and um, he's worked well, and let's hope it keeps up. Next game on the slate, we have Boston Bruins traveling to Columbus, take on the Columbus Blue Jackets. Hit or miss Columbus Blue Jackets, I should say. Columbus is 130 home favor with an over-under 6. I went to the starting goalies here. Looks like Tuukka Rask and Bobrovsky. Bobrovsky played tonight, so I don't think that's going to be as accurate. Whether they go, it's really interesting whether they're going to go Korpisalo or whether they're going to go with, was it Keith Kincaid?
I think they have to go back to Bobrovsky. I mean, if he's your guy, these points are way too critical, especially after losing tonight to the Islanders, only 2 points ahead. I think you have to go back to Bobrovsky tomorrow.
It could be. And I was looking just now because I wanted to see who they did play tonight. They did lose 2-0 to the Islanders. And he only faced 19 shots. So it could be that's something we're going to keep an eye on, but certainly 19 shots isn't a high workload. So, he's not – I don't think fatigue's a factor. Hey, Kevin, how you doing tonight, man? But let's go here. But like I said, Columbus won at home. Unfortunately lost tonight, but they're going back to home. It's really been this top line here. Atkinson. I'll tell you, though, Foligno and Anderson here on this third line, they were a pretty good pair on the second line. But really, this Zingle-Duchesne Bjorkstrand hasn't much hit lately. I'm still waiting on that to happen, but I really don't think it's going to be against Boston's line. This game is a little bit hard to game script. I think I'm going with Justin's last assessment in the Washington game here, but I don't know where the goals are going to come from. Certainly Cam Atkinson, 6,900. Even if you want off him, he seems to be involved in everything. He's silently becoming, certainly I don't want to, get people the wrong idea by saying he's Connor McDavid. I don't think that. I just think he's involved in a lot of the Columbus Blue Jackets goals, it seems. Anderson, Foligno here on this third line. It could be an interesting play if you wanted to take a chance on home ice for these guys in the as a secondary, perhaps even your third stack at a cheap price, I should say. Defensively here, I think you can take a look at Seth Jones. And let's power plays here. You can see Atkinson here with 1 point here. Foligno, like I said, if you play Foligno on that third line, you're getting that first power play if that doesn't change. So that's a nice stat there. Anderson on that second power play as well. Certainly no power play is struck lately. Bobrovsky here against a Boston team, I don't like it. I just don't think that you want to go that way. Flipping the script to Boston, it's Brad Marchand, it's Patrice Bergeron, it's Danton Heinen. These guys are really clicking. We were talking about it today. Penguins finally snapped their point streak yesterday, but these guys, you shouldn't be concerned at all. I'm sure these guys are going to click again tomorrow. I look for some sort of maybe not a revenge game, might be the wrong word, but I look for these guys to come out and score again. Krejci on that second line, even as a one-off at 5,700, he's been playing certainly well. And on that power play as well, getting some power play time. When you go down here, defensively, McAvoy here, playing good. I seen he had a couple real good scoring chances last night in the Pens game. Zdeno Chara got caught really, it almost looked like a Penguins defenseman out there, the way he got caught and gave up that Gensel goal. He checked up a little bit too much, joined the offensive rush, and he is not young Zdeno Chara. Well, actually, I don't think he was ever quick. If this Brandon Carlo is getting 23 shots at 3,500, yes, please. That is an insane amount of shots. Certainly, he's not scoring on them, but a half a point a shot at 3,500, why not, right? Like I said, the goalie here, Rask, seems to be good, and he's playing well. But the game being in Columbus, a little bit concerning for me. I haven't ruled them out, but I could see Columbus coming out at home and making it a little bit of trouble. Justin, over to you.
Yeah, I was just looking at the schedule to see if Boston plays the night after, but they're not. So this is a single game for them. So I do assume that Tuukka Rask will be in net for them. For me, this Boston unit has revolved around their top line, and even with Pastrnak out with the thumb injury, they've still just really kept going. Brad Marchand, I think, has an 8-game point streak or 7-game point streak, one or the other. So he's still producing offensively. You got to really like him, depending on the cost and how your lineup falls. I like Patrice Bergeron. He is the best two-way player we have probably ever seen play the game, at least if you're, under the age of Frank J. Selke playing time. For Columbus, yeah, I like Atkinson a lot. That guy has been involved in all facets of the Columbus game. He plays shorthanded, 5-on-5. He plays on their power play. He's their trigger man on the power play. So I think he's at like 38 goals now on the season. So he's got a chance to break Rick Nash's Columbus goal scoring record. You'd have to think that that's motivation enough to keep him going. I think in this game, if I'm game scripting this game, you're going to see the same Columbus team that showed up in Pittsburgh on Saturday, or that showed up against Pittsburgh on Saturday. I think that was in Columbus, but I think you're going to see a desperate team. I think you're going to see them come out fast. And I think that will cater to that top line with Atkinson and who is the other ones? Foligno. I don't remember who center. Dubois? Was Dubois center in that line? I don't remember that exactly, but that top line is going to be flying like they were in Pittsburgh, like they were against Pittsburgh. So that's the way I'm game scripting this game. So I like Bobrovsky a lot in this game. If he gets the start, it's a little bit early to tell, but I do think that Tortorella is going to go back to Bobrovsky tomorrow. And I would like him as a starting goaltender if I was setting a lineup. I like Seth Jones. I tweeted the other day during the Penguins game that I think Seth Jones is the best defenseman in the Metropolitan Division. And I think he's the best defenseman that the Penguins play all year long on a regular basis. I like the way he plays the game. He blocks a ton of shots. He shoots the puck a ton. And he controls the flow of the game. And that's like the key assets that you want from your number one defenseman. Duchesne and Dzingel have got to get going. And I think this could be a game coming from Ottawa. This is a team that they're familiar playing against, the Boston Bruins. So it may be enough to spark them because it's a familiar opponent. So you could see them get going. As far as Boston's back end, I like Brandon Carlo a lot. That guy's been shooting the puck a ton, playing really well, plays well with Torrey Krug. Those two accent each other very well, and I think they've played very well. Tuukka Rask on the road, I'm not sure about, but I think this is the game that you're probably going to want to pull your goalie from, either this game or the the Buffalo Dallas game that we broke down earlier. I think these are the two places that you could pull a goaltender from.
Yeah, certainly those are the games I'm looking at too. Yeah, and Kevin Kevin brings up a good point there. Panarin certainly hasn't produced much here in the past few games. I'm not sure what happened there. I mean, he's been miserable in Columbus. Maybe he's having a bad time in the city lately. But next game up, guys, we got the Detroit Red Wings going to Montreal, take on the Montreal Canadiens. Montreal, a whopping 220 favorite with a 6 over and under here. And looking at this, and I did want to point out here, past 10 games here, Detroit has given up 42 goals in 10 games, guys. That's 4.2 goals a game if you're good at math. And it's not really been on a lot, like 258 scoring chance against here, but look at that save percentage here completely, 87.54%. So certainly I think we're going to target against Detroit here. Their power play here for Montreal has struggled, certainly. So I think we're going to look for line pairings. Detroit's penalty has been rough here. So when I'm looking at this Montreal team, I think where you're going to head to is the first line here. It's going to be Tatar, Deneau, and Gallagher. I think that certainly that desire to score goals on Larkin with that first line tends to give up some chances, and even strength. They have given up, I think, 4 goals against in the past 10. So I'm going to target Larkin, and it could be that Gallagher, Tatar, and Deneau line. And fair price. I think it puts you at a good. If this would be your primary stack here, I think that it gives you a good bit of cash left that your secondary stack wouldn't be a big drop off. That second line of Paul Byron, Max Domi, and Andrew Shaw, I have no problem there. Byron, I think Byron's played pretty well since coming up to that second line, and they dropped Druin down. So I don't even mind if you wanted to play Byron, Domi, and Shaw. I don't think that's a wrong play here. Maybe leave off Shaw and play Byron to give you that little extra cash as well, because I don't think the difference from Shaw to Byron is going to be that substantial. But yeah, Byron, I called him the other week there, I think, and he's played well. Like I said, not going down to that third and fourth line. Joel Armia, 5,600 still, but he's got 3 goals in 5 games, maybe a GPP shot. Shea Weber, 5,900. Yes, please, against this Detroit team that gives up goals all the time. I know we haven't seen a lot on this power play unit, and certainly there's not a lot to like. The other thing you like is if you go that second line, you do get first power play line. They're probably more so a split in power play time than someone that does like a minute 30 with one line and 30 seconds on the other. This is probably more of a minute split if I had to guess, especially like you said, that second power play unit being with a lot of heavy hitter guys here. Carey Price, certainly a cash game play here. I'm not sure you want to take a chance here on a GPP play. I don't think there's value there, but a cash play for the win, yes, but $8,000. I think you're going to find there's much better goalies at a cheaper price than to pay $8,000 for Carey Price, because I don't think there's shutout potential there. No Larkin. Larkin hurt?
Yes, Larkin is hurt.
Larkin's hurt. Even more better than you would have Carey Price. This first line here, it's Mantha, Athanasiou, and Bertuzzi. Really, the only person I like there is Mantha. Second line here, Vanek, Nielsen, Zadina. Maybe you would take a chance on Vanek, Zadina in a GPP kind of heavy play. Both of these guys have played well, and Vanek, for his age, has actually played quite well recently. Off and on, for being the role that Detroit has wanted Vanek to be in, I think he's produced at that role, to be honest. And defensively here, I got nothing here for Detroit. Detroit's really a fade all around. Maybe you would take one play, like I said, or if you're entering a lot of lineups looking for that GPP, maybe you take like a look here at the second line. Maybe Vanek Zadina get you a little bit of play, and that would be me, 8 to 10 lineups deep, something of that nature, but not a lot of interest here on the Detroit front.
Yeah, I'm with you on Detroit. I won't even talk to much about them. I mean, 46% Corsi right now over the last 10 games, so that's definitely not good. And they're being outscored basically 2-1 in every game. So not a lot to like about Detroit there. Not really a ton, even on the Montreal side with this big of a slate. Maybe I'm probably not pulling a line from this game. But maybe if you were going to one-off something like Gallagher, because he scored a ton of goals this year, and Detroit's not very good defensively, or a guy like Andrew Shaw, who's been very effective as that kind of that Patrick Hornquist type player that stands in front of the net and just tips in the dirty goals. A guy like that. I like that a lot. And if you need a defensive filler, I guess if you saved up like $7,500, then Shea Weber's a good play for you defensively, but not a lot there. And as Jared alluded to, there is quite a few better goaltending plays than Carey Price. One, because I only think he's going to face probably 24 to 27 shots, so you're not going to get a lot from his shots. And if he gives up a goal, then maybe you're getting 2.5 points before the win from Carey Price. So there's just not a lot to like about Carey Price here as far as the opponent goes. So I do like him for the win. If you're in a cash game and you just want the guaranteed 3 points, then he's in for the win. Detroit is 1-7-2 in their last 10, so I don't look for them to break out of that slump anytime soon. I think they're playing for Hughes now, so that's kind of where they're at. So that's kind of the way I see this game going. I see it 3-1, 4-2, maybe in favor of Montreal. But it's a pretty big slate, and there's a lot of high-impact games on the slate that are going to provide probably a bit more punch to your lineup than this Montreal team will.
Well, all right, let's move right along here. We got the Arizona Coyotes traveling to take on the St. Louis Blues. St. Louis 185 home favor with a 5.5 over under here. Perhaps a defensive game here coming up here. Both teams. Let's just look here. Let me go to the past 10 games. I have at least somewhat here. Yeah. So Arizona 8-2 in their last 10. So certainly we've seen a difference there. On that Arizona side, 5-3-2 for St. Louis. It's good to see Rick Tocchet. We have said all along that it's only a matter of time before Arizona gets it together. Rick Tocchet is someone that we've seen value in. St. Louis not giving up a lot of shots there. You can see this is even strength, 240 even strength shots against Arizona at 277. This is even strength, like I said. If you look as a whole, Arizona giving up 323 shots, St. Louis giving up 277 here. So while it will be defensive here, I don't think the goalie value will be there. So I'm not really going to talk to the goalies here. And like Justin said, I think we already got the goalies planned. And Arizona is in they're in Chicago. Last I seen it was 5-1 with Patrick Kane getting that 5th goal. So they're getting clobbered right now. But you know what? Maybe they're saving it for this game. Who knows? But certainly Braden Shen, Ryan O'Reilly, if you are interested in Detroit, that's where you go to. Second line here, Maroon Bozak. and Thomas, at least in the past 5 games. This here looks interesting. What a power play these guys have along the front here. So looking at all the power play points, guys, I think you scroll right down and take a look here. Ryan O'Reilly, 2 power play points. Shen, 2 power play points. Bozak there with a power play point. And then you even see some success on the second power play. And those are, I think, are the correlations you want to keep to if you want to target this game. Looking at Arizona here, is it Kemper? It might be Kemper again tonight or tomorrow night. 8 hours ago, it's updated. Bennington's confirmed. So let's take a look down here. What does it look like for Kemper? Kemper's played well here. He's taken a beating, or if it is Picard tonight. I got to look and make sure I know who's in net for Arizona. I don't have it off the top of my head, but like I said, no goalies here. Kemper's been good, but I think you can have some interest in St. Louis because I do see them winning this game tomorrow, and I see a good bit of goals coming. No goalies for me. Can you game stack this? It's a little harder to game stack. I know Panic has the goal tonight. I'm not even sure. Yeah, there he is on the second line. So Panic certainly is going to have a goal and 5 assists in the past 5 here with Dvorak and Keller. I think the second line is a good line and good play. Certainly a secondary stack play. Yep, Kemper's in right now. So I'm not sure if that started that way. I would think that maybe Picard's in.
No, Kemper started and got pulled.
Oh my! Whoa! So I don't think they'd go back to him, right? Does that put Picard in that for the tomorrow night? Wow! Certainly target St. Louis if that's the case. Either way, but yes, for me, it's the second line here. I'm going to leave the first line alone, and it's going to be Panic, Dvorak, and Keller at a great price, I might add. This third line here, also a play. I'm probably only going to leave this for a GPP action type play. Vinny Unestroza, Brad Richardson, and Michael Grabner. Third line, how would that match up against their third line? I think pretty well. Zach Sanford, Sundqvist, Steen. I think that they could expose a little bit there and have an edge. So the second or third line plays, I'm only pairing. I don't think I'm going a full three-person stack here. And defensively here, Ekman Larson, I've said it for a little while. He's made himself back in play. 4,900, I think, is a fair price for him, and I wouldn't mind throwing him in a lineup. Same way with Jacob Chychrun playing good as well. And no interest in a goalie.
Kind of aligning this one the same way with the Columbus game from earlier, right? If Darcy Kemper's your starter, and he is, at least as far as Antti Ranta being hurt. So the points are too critical, and I think they're probably going to go back to Kemper tomorrow. I think that's why they were so quick to pull him tonight. He got pulled before the end of the second period, so less than a half a game. I think he'll be well enough rested that he'll be back in tomorrow night. Arizona, I like that second line a lot with Keller and Panic on the wings. Defensively, Ekman Larson, I kind of like, especially since they brought his price down. I know he was really overpriced at the beginning of the season, but they brought his price down kind of in line with where I think he is as a defenseman, kind of that lower second tier defenseman, but he does get time on the power play, so you're going to get a lot of shots from him. Like that a lot. Moving over to the St. Louis side, you said it was Bennington, yeah? For the starter? Goaltender?
Yes, sir. That's confirmed.
Yeah, I don't mind that matchup, especially Arizona back-to-back in a game that they are obviously ill-prepared for tonight. And I think tomorrow in St. Louis is on the road as well. Let me confirm. Yeah, that's on the road as well. So I wouldn't mind playing Bennington here if you needed an off-chalk goaltender, something like that. He would be a good play to go kind of against the grain with. Offensively for St. Louis, I really like Ryan O'Reilly. I think he is probably going to be in the Selke conversation. He's a great two-way player. He plays power play, penalty kill, 5-on-5, all that. I like him as a player, and he's fit in really well in St. Louis. They are without Tarasenko for the next 2 weeks. I think I read earlier he's out at least 10 days, but probably closer to 2 weeks is what I was reading from Pierre LeBrun earlier. So, maybe that changes the way that he has to play now. On the back end, I like Alex Pietrangelo. He runs that power play for them, and he has such a phenomenal shot. I also like Bozak a lot, too. He's been slowly starting to come on and get a little bit more productive from those lower line roles. So he could be a more affordable option if you wanted to look at a depth play from here. But yeah, that's kind of where I see this game going. I'm leaning towards St. Louis in probably, I want to say like a 5-2, 4-2 kind of game.
All right. Yeah, certainly. Certainly today, clouds. I find myself getting, trying to say, well, they 8-2 in the past 10. Do I really want to look at that more versus how they're playing tonight? And that's where it's becoming a little bit tricky here. Jaden Schwartz, I think he's on the first line, right? Just with Riley.
Yeah, he moved into to Tarasenko's role.
Yeah. All right, guys. Next game up on the slate, guys. We got San Jose on a back-to-back there going into Winnipeg. Winnipeg a 120 home favorite, over and under 6.5. Scary game here. Lot potential for a lot of goals. Almost equate this one to the Tampa-Toronto game kind of tonight. A lot of plays here. Line A, 6,000. Still a fair price that you can target him as well as Scheifele and Wheeler. This first line has gotten back to their ways, and I think they're going to be in play tomorrow. Certainly, you can even look at the second line. I targeted the second line, actually, the other night when I won in that $45 win. It was Kevin Hayes there. It was a big play of mine. So Hayes, Ehlers, and Connor, even if you wanted to hit that as a secondary stack at the low 5 range with Ehlers, Hayes, Connor, even at 5,600. This is one where I wouldn't mind doing a full 3-person if you think San Jose is going to give up the goals, which if it was Jens tonight, I don't think they need the points as bad. I think they're probably going to go with Dell. Let's check that right now while we're there. Yeah, Aaron Dell's projected against Connor Hellebuck. And Winnipeg, we know, is a very good home team. So they're much better at home, if I recall correctly. They're a decent team all around. But Aaron Dell hasn't even played in 5 games, but we know him to be a Jekyll and Hyde goalie himself. Just both of them from San Jose, we've kind of equated a Jekyll and Hyde performances where, shut out against the top team one game and the next team they're giving up 4 goals against the bottom of the barrel team, But, yeah, I do like game stacking this a little bit. And I could see going both ways on this one, actually. I kind of see this being a 4-3 game, 5-3 with an empty netter possibly at the end. Fourth line with Matthew Perreault, Andrew Kopp, Jack Roslovic. In a GPP, I don't see this fourth line is a very good fourth line as well, with the potential to score. Like I said, I wouldn't play it in any small tournaments, small cash games. I'm probably not getting there. But if you did want to enter a high GPP or a lot of entry GPP, I think that could be one that you could put in there. Defensively here, Jacob Trouba, good play, 5,300, 4 power play points in the past 5 games. Certainly all on the power play. So certainly he's been very good and very potent on that power play. Tyler Myers, 3,900. I think that's worth it for 10 shots, 8 blocks. And I've also found myself targeting Ben Sherratt here and there. He's never wowed me or anything, but he's never really gave me the goose egg. I'm probably steering away from both goalies on this one, guys. And going over to here, Timo Meier, 5 goals, 19 shots, 6,400. Logan Couture, it's his first line for me mainly. So, I mean, you can probably afford doing a pair off this first line and then the second line of Winnipeg into its entirety. And it's going to leave you with a little bit of cash. Certainly the goalies are a little bit cheaper tomorrow from what we've been looking at. So that's the beauty of tomorrow's slate. You're going to get a little bit of savings on the goalie front, and it's going to allow you to target some good players. I look for tomorrow to really be a high-scoring games. A lot of probably low 50 lineups, if you're asking me. Second line here, it's Tomas Hertl, probably by himself if you wanted to one-off Hertl. I'm not going to get to Nyquist at 4,900. This third line here, Sorensen, Joe Thornton, and LeBlanc, another great line. Points are there, but you need that point to make it worthwhile. 3,100, yeah, but you got to see 4 goals, 1 assist there, 1 goal, 3 assists. Joe Thornton has really played great post All-Star break. Really has come together and meshed well with LeBlanc and Sorensen on that third line, and they've given them some power play time as well on that second power play line. These guys have been a good all around. There really isn't many bad things you can say about the San Jose Sharks, except they've ran into some injury bug lately with Evander Kane and Eric Carlson that's been out, and Brent Burns have seen some time on the injury front as well. But that's really the only negative thing that San Jose's got going for them. That and maybe the inconsistent performance from the goaltender from time to time. Brent Burns, certainly I'm not going to say he's a bad play. I think he is in play tomorrow.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate a Brent Burns play, that's for sure. I'm gonna start over here on the Winnipeg side. I absolutely hate Patrick Laine on the first line. I hate it. I think it's a disservice to what he brings to the game and what he does as a player. He's a scorer, he's a goal scorer, and that's what he's meant to do. But as you see in the last 5 games, no goals, 3 assists, and only 13 shots on. I mean, he's still shooting the puck a lot, but not getting the goals. And I think if they moved him back down on that second line with Hayes and Ehlers and moved Kyle Connor back up, that would balance their lines quite a bit better. Absolutely do not like Patrick Laine on the first line. And I'm a Winnipeg fan. This is the only other hockey team that I go out of my way to make sure that I watch every single night that they're on TV. And I just do not like this line combination of Scheifele, Wheeler, and Laine. I love Mark Scheifele and Blake Wheeler together. Those two are unstoppable, quite possibly along with like Sidney Crosby and Jake Gensel or John Tavares and Mitch Marner. Like that duo by itself can carry a line. So to put Patrick Laine up there, I think is a waste of his talents. So moving on, I do like Kevin Hayes a lot. He has been a great addition to the Winnipeg Jets. 2 goals, 3 assists in his last 5, 13 shots. He is great. He's probably going to be the best deadline addition of this trade season. Not so much on the third or fourth line. I don't see a lot going on down there. Although Andrew Kopp has been starting to heat up a little bit lately, and he's actually they've moved him up and down the lineup. He's played in that third line. He's even played in spots on that second line. I think they had a point in the game the other night where Kevin Hayes had went off the ice for a little while, and Andrew Kopp moved up with Connor and Ehlers and played really well in that role. So I kind of like Andrew Kopp if you need a bargain play there. On the back end, Jacob Trouba, he's their point man on the power play. Absolutely like his value there. Myers isn't a terrible play, but I just think there's better defensive plays than him. I actually snuck Sami Niku into a lineup last week, and actually it paid off because that was the game that he had his only goal. I think that was the Carolina game that they won 8-2 or something like that. So I had him in that lineup, and it was phenomenal because I really, really like Sami Niku as a player, and I think he's growing into that role. Over on the San Jose side, for me, I like the second line a whole lot more than I like the first line. So the second line with Tomas Hertl, Nyquist. Nyquist hasn't really gotten it going yet since he's been in San Jose, but Hertl, 2 goals, 3 assists, and 11 shots in his past 5. 3 assists from Donskoy. I like that line a lot. Third line, you got a couple of basement bargain buys here that you can this is like shopping at a thrift store here and definitely getting your money's worth out of any of the guys on the third line with Kevin LeBlanc, 1 goal, 4 assists, and Joe Thornton, 1 goal, 3 assists, 4 goals and 1 assist for Sorensen. This third line has been a force, and it's hard for teams to match up against them in that depth role. Also, Melker Karlsson. I like him as a one-off. If you're filling out a lineup and you got a one-off spot, I like Karlsson a lot. I think he's a very underrated player. On the back end, yeah, Burns if you can afford it. He's worth a play. Vlasic has not been very good without Erik Karlsson in the lineup. Excuse me. So I don't like Vlasic in that spot there. Goaltenders, I don't like Martin Jones. Like I don't play him. If I can avoid it, I will not play him like ever. He is so inconsistent. He's going to burn you every single time he plays. Aaron Dell, he's about the same. Like he's just consistently inconsistent. And if it is Hellebuck tomorrow, I didn't see his stats for the last 5, but he's been pretty good. Other than the Washington game the other night, he's been mostly pretty good. So I wouldn't mind Hellebuck for a spot start here, but I think there's better goaltenders in the lineup or on the slate. So that's where I'm at with this game. I like Winnipeg to win, mostly because San Jose is on a back-to-back, and their injuries are just starting to mount up with Kane and Karlsson, and defense has been their focal point for the season. So without a guy like Karlsson in front of Martin Jones, it just puts you in more danger. So I like Winnipeg to win.
All right, we're heading down to the last 2 games on the slate here, guys. Next game up, we got New Jersey Devils traveling to the Calgary Flames. Calgary, a whopping 395 home favor with an over-under 6.0. For the sake of time, guys, I'm not even opening the New Jersey Devils. There's no one really good there. I can't see yourself putting your hard-earned money stacking them in a lineup here. Look, at this being said, though, I do think that this is the game where you get Johnny Gaudreau, Shane Monahan, and Elias Lindholm. You throw them 3 back in. We just discussed some lines there, especially in the last game, some cheap plays that can be your secondary scoring, your secondary stack that can allow you to play this full 3. They haven't been the powerhouse that we've known them to see probably about 10 games ago. But I think tomorrow they are going to be in a good spot. More so this line one than the line two. Being on home ice, I think that Johnny Gaudreau, Shane Monahan, Lindholm is going to be exploitable tomorrow. And they're all, look, they've come down below the 7K price tag. Johnny Gaudreau and Shane Monahan both were above 7K at one point in time. So I'm not going to look any further than that first line tomorrow against a very struggling New Jersey team that we've saw sell off. I'm not even sure at this point they're going to even risk bringing Taylor Hall back because there's really nothing to prove at that point. I'm not sure what the extent of his injury is, but it was certainly an ugly one. And, you know, really, I mean, the Devils done the right play to get some things out of their team, but they're a couple years away. Giordano defensively, another great play. Harmonic at 5,100 has played well lately as well. But I just think it's going to be too much to hit this defense if you play the full first line stack. So if you leave one off, if you want to leave Lindholm off to play Giordano, I'll buy it. I'll buy it any day of the week. Why not? But really, it's Harmonic and it's Giordano on that first for defense for me. I'm not going with what is it going to be? We got Mac Blackwood for the Devils confirmed. It's projected David Riddick. He's just not going to see some shots, guys. I mean, when you look at this, here's the total, guys. Look here. Shots against Calgary, 261, which is 26.1 shots. He's going to get you the win. He's just not going to get you the shots. And the Devils can be a sneaky team. They might throw a goal in there, and even one goal might really throw a wrench in your plan. I just don't see the shutout potential for Rittich tomorrow, and especially at 8,400. We've seen different goalies. Like I said, I think the goalies where you're going to want to go cheap tomorrow. So no to David Rittich for me, and nothing for the Devils.
Yeah, I couldn't even name 5 Devils that will be in the lineup tomorrow night if you asked me to, because they got no Hirschier, they got no Taylor Hall, traded away Johansson. I guess it's Palmieri or bust if you want to really risk a Devil, but that's pretty much it. For me, I'm looking in a different direction than you are. I am looking at the second line for Calgary. Matthew Tkachuk got his first career hat trick the other night. 4 goals, 2 assists in his last 5, 15 shots on goal. He likes to shoot the puck a lot. He likes to get down in front of the goaltender, wreak havoc there. So I like him a lot. Backlund, obviously, if Tkachuk's scoring, then Backlund's scoring as well. So I like that. For Leaks, probably the guy off of this line that you could leave off, mostly because the other two are often paired up on the power play. So I like that line if I'm going to play a line off of this team. Defensive pairings, yeah, I mean, Giordano is having a ridiculous year. It's amazing to see him do that at 35 years old, to have this kind of year. I think he's at like 68 points now, something like that. He's leading the defenseman in scoring. Like him a lot. 6,300 is a little bit much to get in, especially with this game being as late as it is. I don't think you want to risk $6,300 in your lineup for somebody that, could possibly get hurt or something during warmups, and you really have no fail-safe after that. But yeah, Travis Hamonic's another guy. He gets some power play time on the second unit, and he plays really well. He likes to block shots, 8 block shots in his last 5. Or I'm sorry, 17 blocked shots in his last 5, 8 shots on goal. So he's starting to shoot the puck a little bit more. And that's the thing with New Jersey too, is you can get a lot of shots from defensemen against New Jersey. Top power play line, Tkachuk, Monahan, Gaudreau, with Giordano and Lindholm. Yeah, you know what? I mean, most of Calgary is going to be in play tomorrow night. If you feel like you can fit Calgary in your lineup, most of them's going to be in play. That's really how I feel about this. I don't like David Riddick. for the same reasons that Jared alluded to, is he may give up a goal, and he's probably only going to face about 22, 23 shots. And just giving up a goal or two can really hurt you in a goaltending matchup, especially in a GPP. So I would definitely steer clear of David Riddick. As we said earlier, most of your goaltender plays are going to come from the Buffalo Dallas game, as well as the Boston Columbus game has goaltending potential as well. So that's where I'm looking at for my goaltenders. I'm not looking at these later games.
Oh, all right. Yeah. And now that I was thinking about it there, a sneaky defensive pick for me for the Devils, I think is Damon Severson. He's been pretty good. I know I've had a couple bouts of success with him on a defensive guy. Last game up on the slate, guys, we got the Nashville Predators heading to Anaheim, take on the Anaheim Ducks. Nashville 155 road favorite, 5.5 over under here. Really, we know from the other night, Anaheim came out with a big win. Let's look at Anaheim first here. Big night for Anaheim. Daniel Sprong on that first line there. Got a goal there the other night, maybe 2 goals. Raquel on the board. Really, I'm not going to exploit them here. That 8 goals, I think, might get to their head. Troy Terry might be a nice one-off play here on this third line. Maybe even you put Henrik with them. If I'm going anywhere, I'm going to go this third line Anaheim here as like that third line, that third pair that you might need to fill your lineup. Cheap prices. Troy Terry's been great since he's been in the lineup. I think he's got a good career ahead of him. No defense here, I don't believe, for me. Maybe Cam Fowler, 4,300 here. Looking at, he's got 3 power play points, a goal, 3 assists here. They're going up against a Nashville team that's certainly a good team. So look at this first power play, though. Henry, Troy Terry, Silverberg, cheap prices that you can probably fit in your lineup. I don't think we need to look any further than that. Gibson, sneaky play. These guys are cheap. It could be sneaky. Let's take a look here just to see. Nashville is 5-5 in their last 10. Only scoring 19 goals in the past 10, so they're not scoring a lot. You know what? I'm keeping Gibson in my lineup because they could, just give up some shots, and Gibson could sneak a win. Let's check to make sure it is him. Pekka Rinne, John Gibbs, 8 months ago. I'm going to say Gibson can do what Gibson can do and steal this game. And like Kevin said, it could be 2-0 Anaheim. I don't rule anything against this team anymore. Just when you think they're going to get blown out 4-1, they come out and somehow win. So I'm going to keep them in the lineup just because of this team recently. Nashville, I don't think there's a safe spot to really play them. 6,300 for Arvidsson on a maybe. I just think it's too much money. 5,500 Granlund, too much. A whole lot of too much here from the Nashville side. Maybe you go with Boyle at 3,500 as a one-off. Boyle's actually been a good one of those trade deadline pickups, Justin, that you were talking about with Kevin Hayes. Also comes Brian Boyle, who's actually played pretty well there recently. And Roman Josi here. This is probably where your best Nashville plays might be, is looking at Roman Josi here. Even looking at Ekholm and Ellis as well. Certainly there's some mid to upper price defensemen here, but certainly no strangers to DFS statistics that could get you a couple points here and there. Goalie wise, no, just another reason of what we just said with Riddick. 8,200, I'm still not a fan of. I'd rather take the savings of 1,200 and take a shot on Gibson than I would to play Rinne if I'm given the option of the two.
Yeah, I'm not sure where I'm at with the goaltenders in this matchup. But for me, um, looking at the Nashville side of things here, they do not score a ton of goals. I think most of their last 10 games have been like 2-1, 3-1, just not a ton of offensive potential in these games. And as we know from the Nashville Predators in the years past, is they get a lot of production from their blue line. So let me just go right to the obvious, and that is their blue line. A guy like Ryan Ellis, 4 assists in his last 5 games, 6 shots on goal, 13 blocks, and a point on the power play. So you got to like that. Subban shoots the puck a ton from the blue line. He's on their PP1, so that's a guy you could look at getting in, as a value play or as a one-off defenseman. I don't like any of the forwards uh, for Nashville. They just don't. There's not enough consistent production from them for me to want to risk my lineup on a Nashville forward unit. Over to the Anaheim side, I'm kind of with you on this one. Daniel Sprong, after his days in the doghouse with Bob Murray, where he was scratched for like 3 or 4 games in a row, he's come back. He's got 2 goals in his last 5. I don't think that's accurate because he had 2 goals against Montreal in that 8-2 game, and then he had another goal against Los Angeles last night, if I'm recalling correctly. The biggest knock on him is he doesn't get any power play time, so that could be a big knock on him. Yeah, not a lot really offensively here for Anaheim as well to look at. That third line has been really good the past few games for them. Troy Terry went on a tear. I think he was the 3rd star of the week for the NHL last week. 2 goals, 5 assists on only 5 shots on goal. So that's a 40% shooting percentage. I would take that. I think most NBA players would take that for sure. So a lot there to like from Troy Terry. Manson's a guy that I would look at one-offing for a defenseman as well, especially at $3,000. You got to like that price tag on a guy like that. Yeah, I just don't see a lot of scoring opportunities for Anaheim either. Like I'm kind of game scripting this as a 2-1 type game, so I don't know where you go. There's a lot of offensively heavy games on the schedule that you could look at to fill out your forward groups. San Jose, Winnipeg is one that you could definitely fill out your forward group with. Pittsburgh, Washington's one that you could fill out your forward groups with. You think there's offensive plays in the Boston Columbus game. Just not a lot to like in these later games as far as scoring goes. So I'm leaning towards probably filling out most of my roster with the 7 o'clock, 7:30 games.
Yeah, certainly. Certainly, this is a good night to have this game on the slate because you really don't need to go here. It's a scary game, honestly. I see it 2-1, but I don't know which way. So I'm glad I don't need to resort to the goalie here in this one. But both goalies for Anaheim have played pretty well lately again. Ryan Miller at both and Gibson. So that's the slate, guys. 8 games. Like Justin said, should be a good night of hockey tomorrow. I see starting off with that Dallas-Buffalo game, I think it's going to be a lot of up and down hockey. 2 teams that have been giving up a lot of shots. And you pull your goalie from there, you'll at least know what kind of night you could have if you pick the right way. A couple real heavy favorite games. You know, whether you want to dump some guys into that Montreal game, dump some guys into that Calgary game. But once again, we got two top teams that should be an offensive battle. But I think we're going to skip the game. It's been an hour there, Justin. But any last words before the slate, before we take off? Wish everyone good luck tomorrow and hope that we've gave them good advice. We've definitely contradicted each other a couple times, so that's good to see.
Yeah, I like the I like the slate overall tomorrow night a lot, especially in those earlier games. Like I said, a lot of good goaltending potential from the early games, especially that Dallas Buffalo game. I think you could lean on either one of those goaltenders and get results because you're going to see a lot of shooting in that game. So even if they do give up a couple of goals, you're still going to get at least a positive result out of that one. To me, one of the biggest things that I'm taking away from tomorrow night's slate is the Columbus Blue Jackets and who they really are. Because I think tomorrow night will be a real testament to find out who the Columbus Blue Jackets really are. They've struggled since the trade deadline. Obviously, Jarno Kekalainen won the GM of the day for the trade deadline, but it just hasn't really panned out. So these moves really have to pan out, especially heading into the offseason. If they fail to make the playoffs, this would be a game that they look back on and realize that this was the downward turn to their season if they miss the playoffs. So that's a game I'm really looking forward to. As well as Arizona, St. Louis, seeing how Arizona bounces back after tonight's debacle will be interesting to see.
Yeah, certainly looking like it could be a trap game. That'll be one I might, use maybe some people in my third or fourth line that I create tomorrow. It's going to be a heavy play for me tomorrow night. But hey, that's the slate. And hey, to everyone, thanks for watching. Certainly a lot of live viewers out there. The chat was back to the way we like to see it, active, good input. Have a good night, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.